All right, I have been excited about this interview since my producer Celia told us that we were doing this last week. All right, let's get right into it. So, of course, while the Bengals suit up for prime time tonight, we want to take a little bit of a deeper dive, a closer look at exactly how the National Football League came to be the powerhouse that it is today. So this morning we are talking to Ken Belson about his book, Every Day is Sunday, how Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, and Roger Goodell, pretty important people, turned the NFL into a cultural and economic juggernaut. Thank you so much for talking with us here. What inspired you to take a deep dive into the history of the NFL?
Well, in my lifetime, starting when I was a kid, there was football on Sunday, and that was kind of it. There was a Monday night game. That was sort of a special treat. You stayed up late for that. And then over the years, and even over the years I've covered the NFL, which is dating back about almost 15 years now, it's everywhere. It just keeps spreading. Thursday night football, here we are. Obviously Monday we have double headers, international games, Black Friday game. Now 2 games, actually 3 games this year on Christmas. So it seemed like as a business writer, the NFL was on this relentless path, and it has gobbled up mind share. I often bring this up. The NFL is $23 billion in revenue. That's roughly the size of Delta Airlines. And you would say, all right, well, Delta's a big airline, right? But in mind share, if you talk to people about the NFL, it almost seems like it's Walmart. Yeah. It seems like it's everywhere. And so, like, my idea as a business writer is, well, where did that come from? That's not an accident. That's some people thinking broadly about how to build up a business. And a business
they certainly have built. Okay, what can people expect from this book overall? Do you kind of start from the nexus of the National Football League and then work your way into modern times?
Yeah, my jumping off point, if you want to call it that, for modern times is 1993. That's when the NFL had a labor agreement with the players. It created free agency and it created the salary cap. Those two things balance each other out, and that has created amazing parity over the years. In the old days, you saw the Niners won 5 Super Bowls in a decade. The Cowboys before that, the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. Sorry, Bengals fans. So you had these dynasties because there was no free agency. Once you have free agency and a cap to limit spending, you got a lot more turnover of teams. The Broncos 1 year, the Bengals went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, Seattle won a Super Bowl. So that kept fan interest, or actually accelerated fan interest. So I start the book there. And then the second thing is, when you have a labor peace, you don't have strikes or threats of strikes, the networks are more willing to buy your product. They're not going to be worried about losing a game or that kind of issue. And so Fox TV jumped in 1994 and really changed sports television dramatically, because in the old days, prior to 1993, the networks wanted to pencil it all out and at least break even, probably make some profit. Fox, Rupert Murdoch overpaid, knowing that the NFL would bring viewers to his network, and it succeeded wildly. And that changed sports media, the equation for all sports. The NBA saw this, Major League Baseball. And so, the NFL, that period in the early 90s was a critical period for the NFL.
And I'll just ask it point blank, why do people want to, or why should people go out and buy this book? How does it separate itself from maybe the rest of the stories that have been told about these, Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, Roger Goodell? How does this one stand alone?
Well, I think this one gets you inside the conference room a little more, inside the owners' meetings, inside their own offices, talking to me. It's a lot more of their thinking. You see this with there's a chapter on the concussion crisis, and you hear or see the internal deliberations of how do we deal with this. So as a business book, to me it's very interesting, because we see them on Sundays, we see the owners in their owners' suites and that kind of thing, but we really don't know, where did this come from? And so I think it paints a picture of a very deliberate approach by the league as a business to turn into, frankly, an institution.
Absolutely. Okay, and the book is Every Day is Sunday by you, of course, Ken Belson. Is it available to buy as soon as today?
Yes, it's been out, I think, 2 days now. And of course, you can buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all sorts of places.
Thank you so much again for taking the time. I cannot wait to read this book. I've already told my dad about it, so as soon as I read it, I'll give it to him. But I really appreciate you taking the time with us here today for your new book. That was great. I love a good book. All right, it's 9:44. We'll be right back.
Create